So once more, welcome to week 3 of the UI UX Figma track Textilers cohort 5. It's really good to have you all here, and I want to appreciate you for being on time so that we could get right to it. Okay, so I'm just going to move to my PowerPoint slides so we could commence. If at any point you can't hear me because of my cold voice, please let me know so I could repeat myself again. Today's class is very important because we are going to learn something really interesting in Figma today about prototyping and transitions. Very, very important part of design. As for your assignments, I intend to go through it and give you an individual feedback depending on what you presented to me. So I'm going to be responding to each of you individually after assessing your assignment. So hopefully by tomorrow, I'm going to reserve tomorrow to take my time to go through your assessments individually and give you my constructive feedback for how you have done on your assessment. So if you've not heard from me for whatever reason, just know that that is what I intend to do. I'm going to respond to each of you so that, because we all understand things differently and we can't all make the same mistakes. So for where your strengths are, I'll let you know. For where you need to improve on and all that. That's why I want to do an individual feedback, because we all don't have the same challenges. So that's that about that. I'll use tomorrow to address that. Then today, I think from next week, I'm going to have to pair us. And the reason I want to pair us is because I'm going to give us group projects. I'm going to give us group projects. And the reason I want to wait till next week is I want to assess what you have done with this assignment so that I can pair you based on your performance. I'm going to put one person who understands more. I'll pair you with someone who needs some form of improvement. That's how I'm going to pair you people. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, depending on how many people show up for today's class, because I'm not seeing the same number of participants. So I will pair you based on that so that the strong person can help the weak person and you people will execute projects together. Also, I want to be able to see you people use the collaborative feature which Figma has, to explore how to work together on the same project. That's the idea. So next week we'll get into that after I have assessed you. Now quickly, let me move to our slides for today so that we can make do of today's time. All right, so very quickly, we're going to deal with prototyping and interactions in Figma. Remember last week I told you we have a particular part of UI UX that deals specifically with interaction, and those people are who we know as interaction designers. Today you're going to be able to see what interaction designers are solely meant to do. Because it's like I've said before, you could specialize in UI, which means you have like a strong design game. You can just specialize in UI to do the interface design, or you can specialize in UX, where you get to understand how to conduct UX research and be able to analyze the data that you have gotten from your research, and also how to prototype. So that is the part for the UX. But in the prototyping itself is where you will find people who specialize, again, in interaction design. But like I said, you could be all of these things or you could specialize. It all depends on you. It all depends on your strength. If you're such an exceptional writer, you could go and specialize in UX writer as a skill, as a career. But as always, you can be all of these things. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. So what is prototyping in UI UX design? Okay. Prototyping is the process of creating an early model or simulation of a product to test concepts and usability. I'll make myself very clear as we proceed. What is the essence of prototyping? All these concepts, I must say, are in our last UX video class. So for those of you who have gone through the previous UX that we have on our YouTube channel, you will not be completely lost because you would have gained some knowledge about prototyping and prototyping processes. So, but what is this prototype? It's a prototype. Prototype now is that first model that you are going to present to your stakeholders after you've completed. If you are doing a website, after you've done your website design, when you have finished your website design, and then it's time to do a usability test, or it's time to present it to stakeholders. That is when you need to have your prototype. You need to show them an early version of what the digital product is going to look like at the end of the day. If it is an app, it means you already have all the different screens for the different app, for the different frames for your mobile app. I'm going to show you a complete project that I've worked on at the end of this class to show you what your prototype is going to look like from your design all the way to the prototype part. And we're going to see it in action. We're going to understand why we need to have a prototype. Now, even for you now as a beginner, when you're building your portfolio, you're going to learn how you're going to present a project by the time that you are done. If somebody wants to see what you have done, they want to test it, they want to test the navigation, is this prototype you're going to present? Remember, we said this is an iterative process. When you present your prototype and you have done your usability testing, or you have seen your stakeholders and they are not comfortable with the way certain things work, it is that time that you use to make changes. Okay? Also, prototype helps designers and stakeholders to understand how a product will function and how it will feel. So the UX now, the user experience, begins when you have a prototype, because during your usability test, you are going to test it among people and observe how they react to the prototype. We will speak further on that. Now, examples of your prototypes could be your sketches. Your sketches can be in the rawest form. I mean, when I say rawest form, I mean pencil on paper form. You can start designing your frames with your pencil on paper before you move it to Figma. So it's that raw, or the wireframes itself, which you can create in Figma. Then it goes all the way to clickable models, which is what we are going to find out today, how to get to that point where you have made your design and when you're trying to test it, it has clickable features that would take you to the next screen, to the next screen, to the next screen. Today we're going to learn how to achieve that. What is the importance? Why prototyping? For user testing and feedback. It allows for early user testing, revealing any issue you have. That early testing will help you see where you have issues, because it's expensive to produce an app, right? It's very expensive. When a developer sits down to code a complete app it's dangerous for the developer to start seeing the issues at the point of coding. So that is why every issue that needs to be fixed will have to start from the prototype itself, so that you can correct those issues, you can get feedback and see, okay, oh, when this guy was testing this thing, he observed this feature wasn't there, this feature wasn't there. So from the feedback you're going to get from the user testing, you will go back, instead of using code to fix the problem, you get to use design to fix the problem. And it's cheaper to fix your design than to fix your code. So that is the role prototype plays. It's cheaper to fix your design than to fix your code. So if you're able to resolve all the issues you have with your prototype, then rest assured that you're ready for development, which is the part where your developer comes in. It's not the one developer will finish fixing and finish coding. They have already spent millions trying to try to code the app into a real product, and then that's when we say, oh my god, this feature is not here. Oh, we forgot this part. Oh my god, this button is not supposed to be in this place. And then you go back and you are trying to fix that in your code. That's a very expensive venture. So that is one of the most important role that a prototype plays in UI UX. Also, yes, it's integral to have a prototype, because you get to refine your ideas. At the point of prototyping, a brand new idea can just jump in your head, and then it will be easier for you to infuse this idea as well, to ensure that it meets the user's need. So this part is very important in UI UX information. So I'm just going to continue. So we have two types of prototypes. In fact, according to scholars, there is up to three. There are three types of prototypes. We have the low fidelity, we have the high fidelity. But if you're reading out there, you're reading articles out there, you're going to see where there's also a medium fidelity. But the most popular ones are the low fidelity prototype and the high fidelity prototype. And our low fidelity prototype is just a simple, quick to create, prototype. And we're going to see an example of that. This is the type that is often used in the earliest stage. And in a low fidelity prototype, when I said sketches, paper sketches, where you're just using your pencil on paper to draw out what you want the screen to look like. So an example of a low fidelity prototype can be a paper sketch and a wireframe that you can create in Figma. Then the second one is our high fidelity prototype. Now at this point, you virtually have everything you want. It almost feels like the final product, because all the images you want to use are in place. All the fonts you want to use are in place at this point. The buttons, everything is in place. So the high fidelity prototypes is as good as it looks like the final product. It looks like what the developer, by the time they are done coding, is going to be looking like that. The only difference is the coding that is not included. But I'm going to show you how to achieve what looks like a near final product using Figma. And in that particular prototype, you will be able to click and navigate from screen to screen. All that is the magic that happens with Figma. Now, each of these prototypes serve different purposes in a design process. The low fidelity is like, when you have a raw idea, a very raw idea, and then you just start to sketch. Let's say we have content creators here, or we have writers here. You would scribble your points on a paper. You do a first draft, you do a second draft, you do a third draft, until you are able to get the draft that you want. So in that early stage, instead of doing a high fidelity prototype that you now come and start trying to change, is advisable to start from your low fidelity and get to your high fidelity gradually. So as you iterate your ideas, you want to redefine, fine-tune your ideas, is always advisable to start from low fidelity. Always start from your paper. A lot of people just want to go into Figma and just start designing. It's advisable for you as a beginner to start from that level 1 and go up until you get to your final product. So that's the purpose a low fidelity will do for you. Of course, at high fidelity, we're already closer to our objective. So you usually don't want to, that one is the one that you will share as part of your portfolio design that people will see, and of course the one that you're going to hand over to a developer. You cannot hand over a low fidelity prototype to a developer. You are punishing the developer. And you're going to understand why when you see the next slide. Okay, on this slide, we have the two prototypes we just spoke about. And I'm sure by looking at it that this is an example of our low fidelity and our high fidelity prototype. Okay, so our example here shows us a wireframe which falls under low fidelity prototype. And before you get to this point, usually it's best as a beginner to start with a paper sketch. Oh, sorry, okay, I thought I had an example of a paper sketch here. Well, this is a wireframe. This is a high fidelity. If you look at it, it's the same design. It's just one has more details. This looks more like a finished product. Up here, the person knew they wanted a picture of a chair on their header. So, they just grabbed like a random image of a chair and placed there. And this is to remind them that, okay, when I come to do the final design, it's a chair I want to drop there. So that is why we have that. And then if you look at the images of like a female silhouette here, all the person is doing here is just to show that, okay, on this part, I want to drop images of people. And finally, at the bottom, the person knew, okay, I'm going to drop another chair image here. But if you look, there's a lot of difference, because on the final design, we now have everything in place. We have our button here, we have our chair here, our logo, our write-up. If you look at these images, you just notice that the person just duplicated the image here. That's what you do in a wireframe. You do a lot of duplicating. The person has achieved the image box here. If you check the name, it's showing Anna, interior designer. So now when you're doing your wireframe, the goal is not to waste your time trying to put everything in place. It's just to map out where everything is supposed to be placed in the original design. So when you do your wireframe, you're just going to grab elements to just map out what your final look will be. But you see on our image on the right, it's a final design, and the people's images that are meant to be there are actually there with their actual names. Now we don't have everybody answering Anna Malik, because now we mean business. We mean business. This is our final product. When we are done with this, this is what we are going to submit to our developer. Okay, but looking at this, we are not done yet. We are going to learn certain things that we will do to our final design. When we finish our final design, we are going to learn certain things that we need to add to our design, which is our interactions. How a user will come and interact with this landing page that is before us right now. We'll soon head over to Figma to learn these things. We are going to learn Figma prototyping features. We are going to see step by step how we can start creating a prototype in Figma. Then we are going to learn how to link frames, how to connect the different parts of your design to create a flow. Oh, okay, a user comes on my page. If I need a user to sign up, when I click on sign up, the next frame that is supposed to come up is the frame where I actually get to sign up, right? Where I actually get to fill my form, write my name, put my email, select my password. That's the frame that is supposed to come up right after that. Then we are going to see how we're going to add transitions. There are different kinds of transitions in Figma. I'm just going to be giving us the basic ones. And as always, I'm going to drop a couple of links for some videos that I've picked out for you to learn further. Then we're going to see user flows, okay, from frame 1 to frame 2, how you can create a path for your user to follow using Figma. Okay, so if you look at this this image here, there are two approaches to how you can create these flows and transitions. If you look at the image on my left, it shows like a full-blown screen of my design. Now, usually, until you have completed your design, before you start creating your user flow. But there are situations where you want to explain your user flow. This is also, if you look at my right, is also a feature on Figma. Maybe because you don't want to do a full-blown navigation, like using the screen itself. At the earlier stages where you are doing your UX and you want to show a user flow, you could just use all these elements we have on the right to show your navigation, because you must show a navigation for your wire. We have two different kinds of flows that is being displayed here. To my left, let me use my cursor. To my left is when you want to use the frames that you have created to display your flows. And then to my left, even though it's a flow, but is usually the kind of flow that comes before your design, before your wireframing. So it's not advisable to use this particular kind of screen, because when you're prototyping, you would have already been at this level where you have your screens. So you could just create your flows from there. But when you go on Figma, you're going to see a feature that explains the user flow using this particular design here. You see, it's showing, okay, at entry, you see a welcome screen, you select a task and all that. But this is something you find at the earliest stages of your design process, not when you have created your prototype like the way it's looking here. So we're going to see examples of that, live examples of that in Figma shortly. Okay. So user testing and feedback. Why we've said before that we create prototypes so we can test our product. Now, how do we achieve user testing? Remember, we have created our prototype at this point. We have set our flows, and it's time for us to test our users. It's usually called usability testing. And there are methods to it. There are different ways you can approach it. You can use surveys, which you can use your Microsoft Forms to create, or your Google Forms, or any other form that is out there. What usually happens at this stage is, okay, my prototype is complete, right? But I want to look for people who are going to navigate through my prototype, and then I'm going to be recording their experience. I'm going to see that user that is feeling confused about finding his way around the app that I just finished creating. So I'm observing. And in observation method, it means that you're probably in front of me. I'm going to get a hall, and then I'm going to, after I've created all my frames, I'm going to transfer it to you, and you're going to open it. Like, let's say I created a mobile app design. I'm going to transfer it to you people and make sure people have access to the prototype. And then I'm going to watch you as you navigate from one screen to the other, and I'm going to see if you have any difficulty as you navigate. Because remember now, my prototype is working like an actual app because of all the transitions that I've included, because of all the navigations I've included. So I'm going to watch you try to move from screen to screen and see how well you do. At any point I see you're frustrated, I'm going to record it. And I'm going to ask you questions. Why did you feel frustrated at this point? You're going to tell me probably, I was looking for the button, I couldn't find it. I'm going to now write it in my notepad. User found it difficult locating button. That's in the observation method now. Then maybe I see you, looking up and down the screen, trying to find maybe a search button. I created an e-commerce app, for example, like Jumia or Konga, and I'm trying to look for an item. I'm going to be observing you to see how quickly you're able to find where to get your product from. If I see that you are confused about getting there, I'm going to record it, because it's going to be important for me to implement everything that I've recorded, every difficulty that you have found with that app. I'm going to fix it and make sure that the next time I'm going to test, because you're not going to do usability test once. You're going to do it over and over and over again until you see that your users are using your app seamlessly or almost seamlessly. No work is perfect. And that is why when you're using your app, if your Facebook app or your WhatsApp app, every time they're asking you for an update, because the job of doing an app never really finishes. So you just see that you're on your own. No, they will say updates, update your Facebook, update your Access Bank app. That's because in the need to iterate, there is room for improvement. So with each improvement that a developer brings into an app, you have to update it. So that's for observation. Now, for interviews you're going to you're going to have to come up with like a script, a particular script. These days, those things are easy to achieve. You can use You know, when they say, oh, how is a UI UX person supposed to incorporate AI? You know, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot. You want to incorporate it to make your work as a UI UX designer easy. When you're trying to craft these interviews, when you give ChatGPT a description of your app, you can ask it to come up with an interview script for you. Now, another important thing is you need to ensure that you're asking each participant the same question. You're not going to have different interview scripts for different people, because that one question that you're going to be asking everybody, they are going to answer it in the way that they understand your product. So it's important to just have one question. Then when you're analyzing the responses, you'll be able to know, okay, I asked everybody how they felt in navigating through this app, and they're just going to give you their answers based on how they experience it. So if you go through the UX video, you're going to get details of how you can approach these different methods. Now, you can also do surveys. In surveys, you're going to craft a structured question for your participants. Usually, they are closed-ended questions. No, we have open-ended questions. We have closed-ended questions. In that closed-ended questions, when you ask your question, you're probably going to give them options to pick from. Maybe you say, oh, rate your journey through this app. How easy was it? Then maybe you will give options like easy, not so easy, very difficult, very difficult. You know, you will guide their response if you're using a survey method. Now, amongst these methods, the most successful ones have always been observation, where you have participants that you bring together and have them go through your app, and you're right there, you're seeing how they are moving from one screen to the other, and you're asking them questions there and there, and you are taking your responses. That is usually the most successful method. You can combine one or two of these methods if you're trying to do your user testing. You can combine one or two of this method. I'm not sure about using all, but it's best to combine one or two of these methods. But if you decide you want to go with one method, observation is usually the best. So also, there are online survey tools and user testing platforms. I don't know if you've probably come across a site, because I know a lot of in fact, there are many sites now, because user testing is not cheap. I won't lie to you. That is why in this part of the world, a lot of apps, a lot of app developers keep that part. They don't even want to start from UI UX. Maybe because they have built an app like that before. A developer, instead of engaging a UI UX person to do the necessary research for them, they will just rather say, should we have design app that is similar to this? No app is the same. Every app you design has its target audience. You might feel that because you've designed let's say an Uber app before, and then you say, okay, after all, an Uber app has the same feature with this other app that this client is asking me to do. So it's better to just assume that what this app needs is what this other app will need. That's why a lot of developers get it wrong. Now, what this will lead to is you will end up creating an app that nobody is going to use. If you go on Play Store, you see a lot of apps that you download in fact, that very day, because you try to achieve something on the app and it became difficult, you're going to uninstall it there and there. and then you visit some sites, you cannot find what you're looking for, I can guarantee you will never come back. So when a developer decides, oh, we want to skip the services of a UI UX person, they are likely to encounter this type of problems with their app. And what this means is they have to hire a developer to start putting in features one by one as they are observing. If you go to Play Store also, if you look under the reviews of certain apps, you see people even insulting people. You'll see people be harsh. You will see comments like, this is the most useless app I've ever seen in my life. You will see it in the reviews. Hey, people that like to skip. Those are the kind of reviews you can see under their app. Because I've even seen it in like a very huge brand that your mind, you think they're not supposed to have issues with their app because they can afford to hire a UI UX person that will do their job. You still go under those apps, Nigerian apps mostly. You go under those apps and you see people cursing out. Oh, I didn't even receive my OTP after I signed up, so I can't even go further. You know, just so many glitches here and there. So what some of these companies they do is, instead of just, okay, they hire a UI UX company, a user testing platform that will pay people that will come and participate in this user testing. There's one time like that I remember. There are user testing apps that I remember that because of my experience, I was like, let me go and make some side change. It's people that are usually into UX and testing that usually just create these platforms. So what usually happens is that a company will pay those platforms to hire, to look for people that will come and do the user testing for them. So you now, as you are now, you can go and try to attempt to do it. They're out there. I'll see if I can get a link for like one or two. There are some of these user testing companies that are not even open to Nigeria, but you see them open to a lot of other countries. What do you do when you sign up as a participant to do user testing? You're going to on your camera, your webcam camera, and then they will be watching your expressions as you go through a particular website that they want you to go through. So they will use that camera. So you having that camera is usually a criteria. As you're going through the site, they'll be watching your expressions to see if there's some sort of frustration on your face or some sort of confusion on your face. Now, when you are able to successfully finish going through that website and they see all those expressions on your face, they are going to ask you questions that you're going to feel. Usually they expect you to be honest about your experience. When you finish, they will pay you a couple of dollars, very few, Oshinkili. But you know Nigeria now, especially that time that we're doing 1,800. Imagine if I was still subscribing to those kind of sites. They pay me $3 here, $4 here, $5. You go buy a time. So those platforms are out there. I just wanted to give you a picture of what those platforms do and how they operate. So moving on to guidelines, how to give and receive constructive feedback. Hey, as a graphic designer, I can tell you that no designer wants anybody to criticize what they are doing. It's not easy to chest it, especially after after the time you feel, oh, you've spent on this project, you've given it your all, you've tried to execute what the client wants. The client will come and tell you, change this one, add this one. It's the most frustrating thing. But you have to be open to receive constructive feedback. Okay, so I'm seeing that we are 1 hour in, so I'm going to quickly get to Figma before I come back to this particular last session that is here. So quickly, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can go to Figma. So I have a project I did on my Figma so that we can do some practicals, because this practical usually takes time and I don't want us to spend too much time in the PowerPoint. All right, so this is like a project I did before. I'm going to open it. Let's say I'm going to open this project. So this is a project. I want you to see what a complete app project would look like by the time you are done with all your design. By the time you are done with all your design, you're going to have this many screens. I want you to see all of it before we zoom in. So usually your screen will be filled with your project this way, creating frame after frame after frame. Now, to zoom in to the frame you want to zoom in to see what you are doing, you can just use your Control and plus key to zoom in. All right, so we're on Figma now. I had gone to open a project. Let me go back so that I can start again. Okay, so this is my project Figma, because the other one I used last week was the free version. So now this is a previous project I did. I wanted to have a feel. Let's say you do a mobile app design. You know, last week I told you about having so many screens in one project. So you're going to see live now what a mobile app project looks like. You're going to have this much screen. And you know, when I taught you about components, I told you that you would see that there's need for you. Let's say, okay, now I use green in this project. Then my guy will come and say, we want to do blue. Imagine changing all the elements on this many screens, one after the other. That is why creating a component is very important, because when you create one, you can change all. So let me zoom into the project. To zoom in, because when a project becomes like this, you're going to be using a lot of zooming here and there. So I'm going to zoom in. To zoom in now, I'm going to click on Control and plus key. Control and plus. If I click on Control and minus, it zooms out. To zoom in, Control and plus key. Then you see this hand that is here, hand tool. We're going to learn how to use our hand tool today. So I'm just going to click on my hand tool. If you look at it, I have this little hand on my screen. Now I could just use it to navigate to the exact place that I want it to be. And this is the beginning of my screen. If you look at it, because I want to be specific and I don't want to get confused about any screen, I have to name each screen. This is my splash screen here. If you look up, I had to call it splash screen. That's why we talked about layers and naming our layers. Imagine the number of layers I have here. Imagine. Can you see the number of layers I have here? Can you see? So imagine I did not name them. For here. So I indicated everything. Okay, this is my splash screen. I click on my splash screen. You know, as you name each frames, as you name each layer now, it's going to show it automatically at the top of the splash screen. You see, this is splash screen. I can decide, oh, okay, maybe I don't want to call it splash screen, and I'll be like, okay, I already have a welcome. Let me just change the name so that you could see how the effects. Let me just say splash, for instance. Oh, splash. What the hell? Sorry. Splash. If you notice, since the name of my layer now is splash, it has changed it automatically. And if you look at this hashtag sign, Remember how we, if you notice this hashtag here, it means that our layer is a frame. These are all frames. We are not talking about the elements now. This is a frame, right? Now, if I click this little arrow here, drop down arrow now, it's showing me the elements on my screen, on my frame rather. It's showing me the elements. It's showing me, oh, I have a logo here. This was the name that I used to save my logo white, because I have a colored one. If you look here, you see the colored version. Then I have the white one. Okay, and I did it so that I can just get the right contrast for the two different frames. So if you click the down arrow, and maybe it's a logo you want to do something with, then you can click this arrow to drop down the elements that are on top of your frame. Okay, so let me close it back. Our splash, let me rename it back to what it was. So I'm just going to call it splash screen. You know, when you load an app and then that logo that just comes on, you know, and does its thing, that's our splash screen. That's what you see first. Then you can, it depends on how you want to build your app. You can have a splash screen on your mobile app and a welcome screen. There are different ways that you can do this. So now let us try to prototype a few frames here. There's a lot of frames here. I made sure I undid the prototyping here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, this is a ride sharing app, by the way. I'm going to try to prototype from here to here. It's a lot if you look at it. So the idea is just for you to get the concept of how to do it. So I'm going to try to prototype, let's say, these 3 levels now. Let's see this screen take us from our splash screen all the way to our sign up screen. In fact, I'll stop at sign up screen here. So we're going to prototype these 6 screens because we cannot receive phone verification. But anyway, let me just prototype everything, not to confuse you. I'll prototype these 3 levels here. I have my onboarding level, my authentication level. So we'll prototype everything. So to do your prototype, you go to your pane. Your pane that is on the right hand side here. If you see, because it's our design that is displayed here, it's showing us we are on our design pane. And we've tried to play with a couple of things on our design pane last week. So now, because we want to prototype, we're going to click on our prototype frame. We're going to click on our prototype frame. If you look here, let me click outside. Okay, yeah, doesn't matter. If you look here, we have our flow starting points. What this does for us is to indicate where our flow is going to begin from. So you use this to start creating your start points. So when I click, now I have to switch from the hand now back to my move tool. Make sure you're on your move tool before you start prototyping. Drop the hand. The hand is just help us move around our frame, move around our canvas rather. This middle part, this gray part in the middle is our canvas. So what the hand just does is to just help us move around, but always remember to drop your hand tool. It just helps us move around. That's just all the hand does for us. It helps us move things around. Maybe we are searching for something. The hand just helps us. When you click on it and hold, you could just move around, you know. That's just all the hand does for us. Then when we are done moving around and we are at the points that we want to work with, you have to go back and pick your move tool. When you pick your move tool, our cursor immediately changes to this black cursor here. which indicates to us we are now ready to move and do our thing. Usually this is your work mode. This is your work mode. When you are displaying this, you're on your work mode. It's time for you to click on things, okay? Because I was trying to click outside the canvas. If you noticed, it didn't stop highlighting this particular splash screen. But with your move tool, you can click in and out of your frames, in and out of your frames. And you need to be able to do that for you to adequately do your prototype. So now I want to click on my splash screen, because naturally, since that's my starting point, that is where I should begin. So I'm going to click here. Then I will go to my flow starting point. Then this cross that is right here, I'm going to click on it. If you notice, when I clicked on it, it's showing me flow 1. And what this means is, this is where my application starts from. And then it's highlighted. Now, for me to be able to move to the next screen, I have to create a connection. To create my connection, when I come this way, and I'm going to see this plus sign. Notice this plus sign that is here. When I click on it and drag, notice what's going on here. Notice what's going on here. I now have my arrow that I can point downwards, point sideways, or point this way. So wherever I say go and connect, that is what it's going to do for me. So typically, I want to connect to my welcome screen. I want to connect to my welcome screen because that is what I want to see next. If you look here, it will give you options. It will give you options. It's going to ask you, okay, is it on drag when I'm using my app? Is it while I'm hovering that it should move to the next screen? The two things you can work with here is either on tap or while hovering. Most times when your application launches, the splash screen will come up and do its thing, and then move and automatically bring up the next screen. Now I'm going to try two things. The way a normal app works. So I'm going to use on tap. I'm now saying, when I tap my splash screen, please take me to my welcome screen. So I'm going to use on tap. Okay. Sometimes it wants to ask you more things. It wants to ask you, navigate to. It's asking navigate to. And if you click this welcome screen here, which is where I have pointed it to, when you click this arrow beside it, it will open all the frames we have. Look at it. We have like 60 frames here. We have like 60 frames in this whole thing. Now, you can either come here and pick where you want it to go to. Okay, so now let's say I want to go to onboarding screen now, and I want to do it from here. When I click this, look at where my arrow has gone to. It has gone to my onboarding screen. It left this one to come here, just to show you that you can either do it from there, or you could just do your connections manually. Now, this is not the screen I want to go to, so I'm going to Control Z that to take it back to where I was. I want it to go to my welcome screen. That is what I want. So now, this one connection that I've done now, to be able to know if your connection is working, you come here to your play button. Your play button is what is going to display your prototype for you, the way that you have set it, the way you're going to present it to stakeholders, and the way you're going to put it on your portfolio, so that whoever is going through it, and the way your users are going to move from one screen to the other. So when I click on this play button now, it's going to open an entirely new window where I get to test my prototype that I just did. I'm going to test what I just did. Since I said on tap, right? So look at my cursor here. Since I said on tap, when I come and I click my mouse on tap, it has automatically taken me to the screen that I connected it to. So that's what has happened here. Now, let's go back to our design. I've said, oh, okay, on tap, do this. Now I want to change my on tap to after delay. In after delay, I have to set the minutes that I want, so that it will give it that natural, okay, that welcome screen that when it comes at a particular time, after a few minutes, it will display the welcome screen. So if I say, I don't know, do I reduce this? Let's see. So let me reduce it to like say let me do like 2 minutes, so it doesn't 200 milliseconds. That's what MS is for, milliseconds. Let me leave it at 300 so that it doesn't just move so quickly, or 400 milliseconds, because milliseconds is such a tiny time. So I could have even left it at 800, depending on, whatever you decide. You want your user, when they launch the app, then the Sendo logo will come, do its thing, then it will immediately take me to my welcome screen. So now we have set it on that. There's so many things here I don't even want to touch on, because I do not want to confuse you. Well, as you grow, you're going to figure out most of these things for yourself. So now I have changed my settings now. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and see what I have. The changes I've effected. In order not to confuse you, you can always undo that screen and play it again to see if any change has been made. Okay, the seconds I gave it was very tiny. Let me go and increase it. Okay, yes, you can change your setting by just clicking on the arrow. When you click on the arrow that is doing the connection, this dialog box is going to come back for you to do your thing. It's going to come back for you to do your thing. So I'm going to play it again. Let me undo this so that I can just play it again. If you notice, it's still very fast. It's still very fast. Let me increase my milliseconds, because what's the point of the first screen if it will not wait more? So I'm going to do it again. Let me add it. Where this is going, I will really increase it, because it's milliseconds. So I'm going to play it again. Hopefully I'll get the effect I'm looking for. Okay, my logo didn't come up. That first logo didn't come up. There's an animation I'm supposed to do for that to happen. Let me leave the animation for now. I don't want to enter animation today. So I'm just going to go back. Let me use that first setting we started. The idea is just for you to understand. I'm going to go back to on tap, so that it's just easier to breeze through. Now I'm back to on tap. Now, after I've displayed this screen, I want to go to my onboarding page, right? So I'll click here. Then I'm going to drag my arrow this way. I've connected it. It has navigated to onboarding and it's still on tap. Usually it's the most commonest one to use. I just wanted to try a different one, which I haven't used in a while. So from here, again, we have a button here which indicates to us that we should click on it to get to the next screen, right? So this entire time we'll be moving from frame to frame, but here we have our first button which we require to click to go to the next frame. So here I'm going to, instead of doing my connection from the frame, I'll come to my button that I know is what I have to click to get to the next one. That is what I'm going to use to create this connection. My connection has been created. Then I'm also going to come to this button again, because when it takes me here, for me to get to the next onboarding frame, I need to come and click here to say next, to take me to the next frame. Using the same settings. There is no need to change your settings as you are moving from screen to screen. Usually you could just hold on. To one particular style. Okay, so now we've tried to connect it to like 5 screens now. So we're going to test our connection. Let me zoom out so that we can see all the screens that I connected. Control minus now. Figma will show you the connection that you have done. It's going to be visible to you because of these lines. So now we have connected 5 frames here. We have moved from splash screen to welcome screen. From welcome screen, we have gone to our onboarding screen. Now our onboarding screen has a button. We connect it to the next one. To click this button, we get to the next one. So let's put that to test to see how our prototype is doing so far. So as always, I'm just going to start again. I'm going to launch my prototype. Okay, now my logo is displaying. I don't even have your time. Don't get overwhelmed when you experience some of these small errors. So now I have a prototype of 5 screens, which means as I tap through, we're expected to move from the first screen to the 5th screen. So now I tap, it takes me to the 2nd screen. I tap, it takes me to my onboarding page. Now, observe what will happen here. When I tap here, it's not going to take me anywhere because that is not where I created my connection from. If I tap here, nothing is going to happen because there are what we call hot points. So if you notice, as I'm clicking the wrong place, Figma is saying, excuse me, man, that's not where you're supposed to click. So as I'm clicking all these places, you see this blue highlight that is coming up. It's trying to tell me, that's not what we agreed on. No, that's not where I'm supposed to click on. So it's trying to bring me to the they call this hotspots rather. Now I'm getting confused. Hot points. One of the two. I'm going to clarify that later. Okay, so I have to come and click where I created my connection from. See, now I click on my next button. It has taken me to the next one and then to the next one. So at this point, if I click here, because I haven't done any other connection after this frame, we are not going to go anywhere. We're not going anywhere. It will stop where my navigation stops. So going back to our design, looks like our prototype is doing great. So for us to go from this last screen, again, I have to click on go. Now, I have to click on go, use my arrow, and bring it to the next screen I want to go to. We're going to leave it on the same settings for now. We're going to explore other things that are in this box. We're going to learn a bit about transition. I just want us to finish the prototyping, then we'll to give it more life. Now, everything I've done here from the prototyping is usually what an interaction designer specializes on. The person, an interaction designer, will learn how to animate, will learn how to transition. There are so many things that you can do to bring your app to life. Now, an interaction designer specializes in these parts, learns the tricks, learns the tips, learns the animation, learns the different kinds of transition that he can apply to this part. Is for the guy or the chick, this particular part. So there are people that are just specializing in applying these movements that we are trying to do here. Those are the people that are interaction designers. So if you go to a job board, sometimes you will hear a company saying, we are looking for you, a UX designer. They're going to say they're looking for an interaction designer. That means say the first person is Tabi. Sorry, geez, I didn't know how I entered that. There are people that probably don't understand pidgin. Pardon me, please. There are people that just really know how to play around with their transitions and everything. So they will say, is that person, maybe they already have a UI UX designer in their office, but that person's specialty has nothing to do with interaction. So the advert will go out that it is an interaction designer we want. Now, it goes beyond what I'm doing here, but I'm trying to tell you pretty much what I've done here right now is what the person is specialized in. Moving on. Now, let me zoom up again so that we'll see what is on our screen. I'm going to use my Ctrl+ key. There are many ways to navigate, but I'm just going to use Ctrl+ for ease for you to remember. Let me go to my third level now of screens. This is my authentication level. So here, usually on your Bolt app now, you cannot use the Bolt app without enabling your environment, your location rather, because that's what the app will use to locate you and all that. So when you're on a Bolt app, normally the first thing you're going to have to do is to enable your location. So now, because we cannot really practically do this on our design, when it comes here, since I just want to go and create an account, I'm not going to use this particular button here to connect. Instead, I'm using my skip for now, because since we are not using a real phone, we just want to explain the connection, and we want to explain the user flow, the direction a user is going to go from. I'm going to connect to get me to the next screen. We are not touching anything here, so we can just cancel it. So now we are on our welcome screen, and it's telling us, okay, welcome. Do you want to create your account, or have you been here before? If you've been here before, log in. If you are a new customer, create your account. So now we want to move to the next screen. So it means I'm going to be clicking on create account. Then I'm going to connect my create account button to my next screen. I don't want to change anything here. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to create my account. So the action you will do here, when you have filled in your name, when you have put your email, everything you've signed up, picked your gender, then you click on sign up. But if you're going to use your Gmail or your Facebook or your Apple, now we are working with third-party app. If I click sign in with Google and I just click here, it's Google that takes over. When I want to sign up with Facebook, I click here, Facebook will do its thing. When I want to click with my Apple ID, they will handle that one, because they take care of the sign up from there. But if I just want to do my thing by filling my name manually, putting my email, my phone number, everything, because if I put my phone number here, I have to expect a verification, right? So when I finish and I click here, this screen is supposed to take me to this screen where I could be waiting for my OTP to show up. When I wait for my OTP to show up, the next screen is showing. I've designed like the screen that is supposed to display the OTP. Now, here you're waiting for OTP on this screen. Here your OTP has come in. Or maybe the verification is email or is USSD. But most times, to make your user experience seamless, it's better to work with the one that's your OTP automatically fills in. To save you the stress of leaving the app, going to check your text message, copying the OTP there, and it's old fashioned to even do that. So apps that still do that thing where they will send you OTP, it will come as SMS. Then you have to now leave. You now have to leave the app, go and check the text, come back and start filling. Maybe you did not grab all the number. You have to still leave the app again to go back, and that's old fashioned. Nobody does that. The way OTP works is for it to just automatically fill the box. So this screen brings us to this screen. Now, while I am here on this screen, I'm just going to connect my frame here. When I put my OTP, no, I'm just going to move to this screen. Let me see. Okay. Sorry. I'm just going to move to this next screen. Oh, why is it displaying that for me? I'm just going to move from here. Just connect it with here because I'm okay. Yes, verify. Yes. I'll click on my verify button, then wait for it to come. When it comes, my verification is not complete. So I move to the next screen. Move to the next screen. Then finally, when it asks me to set a password, I will set my password, confirm my password. Then it's time for me to register. When I click register, I drag my registration page will now open. When I finish, I will upload my picture here, put my name, my phone number, email, street, city, district. When I finish, the next action I'm supposed to do is to save. Now let's see what we have done so far. Let me zoom out again so we can see all our connected screen. Let me zoom out. Okay. So far we've connected the screens we need to connect here. So let's play our prototype to see. So Figma is just going to reset it for me. Oh, sorry. Before you put your prototype on, make sure you are back at your start screen. You are back at your start screen so that it will take you through the journey. So let me play my prototype again. Okay, so we are back at the beginning. We click, we go. Hotspots, yes, we go. Now, the last time we clicked here, we couldn't go anywhere. Okay, there's a bit of a disconnection here. Let me go back to my design and see why that is happening. And this happens sometimes where you've done your connection, but it could just disconnect by itself. See all my connections here. Now I'm seeing all my connections. So it's supposed to be able to. Let me go back to the beginning and play it again. Just technical glitch, nothing more. And we're working with Figma online. We're working with Figma online. So sometimes some of these technical glitches are bound to happen. So from Go screen, it's not connecting. I don't understand why. Let me go back and see what the issue is. It's showing that I'm connected here, but it's refusing to move. Let me click on the arrow to see what's happening. Okay. Oh, it's pointing to the wrong. No, not really. It's pointing to the right screen. On drag. See, I'm glad I'm making these mistakes, because on drag is a whole other thing. Usually use the drag when you are going through some sort of slide or something, but when you're using your app, it's a different thing. But Figma automatically changed it for me. So let me try dragging. Let me see, because it's an onboarding screen. What's happening? Okay, let me drag. Let's play that thing again. Let's play it on drag. Let me see what's here. Let me click on this arrow. Let me click on this arrow. Let me see what's happening. Okay, it went through on drag, then it came back to on tap. Interesting. So now let's drag. Let's try to drag and see. Okay. Skip for now. It's account. No, it went. No, let me start again. I want to see the issue with my onboarding screen, so that whatever mistake it is, we can fix it. So let me start from here. Let me start from this screen. I want to see what the issue is. Let me click on this arrow. It's on tap. Click on this arrow. It's on tap. But this guy to here is staying on drag. All right. Let me start again. And I want to know what's happening. Okay, so on tap, on tap, on tap, on tap, then on drag. Interesting. Okay, yes, it makes sense. It makes sense. It will happen that way. Sometimes Figma can just automatically just, put these things for you without letting you decide, even though you can change. But if you look at our highlight, it's disabled the on drag, because this is supposed to be the right behavior for it when it gets to that last onboarding screen. So from there, you go back. We are back on tap, creating accounts on tap. You sign up, you verify, you register. That was where we stopped. So this is it for creating a flow. Now let me quickly explore other things we can add to give this whole thing life. We've just added from a connection, rather, what connects the screen. So let's say we're expecting some sort of behavior apart from just moving from one screen to the other. I'm going to add some interaction now. So now I'm going to click on interaction. We've been using our interaction tab this entire time. So if we like, we'll say, okay, on drag. Wait, sorry. I don't think. Yes, everything we've done is a part of the interaction. But I want to add some transitions now. If you go down, you will see some behaviors overflow now. It says no scrolling. You can add whether you want your screen to be scrollable And that depends on the size of the phone. Sometimes some phones are too long and you have to be scrolling up and down. But when you off this behavior and you say, okay, no scrolling, just adjust the screen. No scrolling will adjust your design to whatever screen you are working with. Sorry, I'm feeling some type of way because of the cold. But I have to get through this class. If you don't want it to scroll, it just leaves your screen in one place. But if you want it to scroll, you're going to describe whether you want it to scroll horizontally or vertically, or you can scroll horizontally or vertically at the same time. But when you lock it on no scrolling, it just displays and fits into your screen the way you want it to fit depending on the screen. So it's just advisable not to even touch the scrolling feature. Better to not scroll. Then again, there's the frames will react differently depending on the content that is on it. If you look here, if we click this arrow connecting this, and we come to this arrow here, where you are seeing instant. This instant is a type of transition. That's why when I was clicking, it wasn't really giving any behavior. It was just going pa, 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 because I set it on instant. Now, all these things here are different kinds of transitions. Now, let me change it to push. Push is one of the common transitions that we use. Now, if you look down here, it's showing you a preview of how push works. You can also come here and set the direction. This is an animation feature, whether it should ease in or it should ease out. Now, ease out is good if you're moving to the next screen. You can ease in back, you can ease out back. These are important transition movements that I want you to take your time to learn. Everything here we are seeing are types of transition. Custom, Bezier, gentle, quick, bouncy. Let me play around with bouncy, for instance. You'll see how it will move. This is how your screen will move. The way this thing is moving here, which is not very realistic for an app movement. But when you're building a website and you want to add some sort of movement, a feature like this can come in handy. But since we are dealing with app and screens, it's just always better to prefer easing in. Sorry, I lost you there for a minute. So back to what we're saying. For any of these things you click on, it will give you a small we're at ease out, right? See, ease out goes this way, ease in goes the other way. So it's just for you to experiment. Ease in goes the other way, and I prefer the ease in because my app movement, I want it to go from left to right. That's how I want my app movement to go, not the other way. So I prefer this, and I set it on push. Remember, it was on instant before. Now I set it to push because it's the push feature now we are seeing here. As I set it to push, the second screen will push the first screen out. Let me explore this one. We have slide in. This is another good one you can use. You can just slide in like this. Slide in that way. You could also use that. You could also use smart animate. Smart animation, where There are different types. So as you try to, from your first screen that you've created in this class now, I would want you to go back and create a second screen, that you can use to explore these different transitions. So we put it on push initially. We could just try a couple. So I'm going to take it back from smart animation and use it on push for this particular thing. Now, this one is on instant as well. I'll put it to push. Let's just see a quick prototype view of how our app is now behaving. Okay, so then when I click on it, it will just pass. No behavior, no nothing. So now we are seeing, did you notice the difference? There's a difference now. It's not just in our faces anymore. There's a difference now. Let me attempt to play around with the animates. I want to do the smart animation here. I'm going to apply it. I'm going to apply it here also. I'm going to apply it here also. I'll move from instant to smart animate. Instant to smart animate. And we're just doing that. And you can also adjust the milliseconds here as well. So after you set your transition, you want to time it. Do you want it delayed? Do you want it to take time? You want it to be so noticeable, you increase the time. You want it to be not so noticeable, you leave the time the way it is. Just explore, have fun. That's the idea. If you make a mistake, you do something ridiculous, laugh, move on, try something else. That's how you're going to learn. So we've changed it to smart animation now. Change it to smart animation. So let's see what that looks like. On tap. No, sorry. Let me try that again. On tap. Let me be sure what I'm saying. Yeah, this smart animate. Okay, let me ease out this time around so that we can see a visible difference. Smart animate. I want to ease out this time around instead of pushing, because these things, it depends on the style you want to use. If you want to use, sorry, where is this smart animate? Easing is for transitions, remember. Okay, I already did that. Ease out is on ease out. Let me see the next one. Smart animates, ease out. Okay, good. It automatically changed it for me. Let me try this to see. Ease out, yes. Because I use the same setting for the first few screens, Figma automatically detected that that's the transition I want to use for the rest of the design. So it's now implemented it for me. That's one of the smart things that Figma does, because it knows it cannot allow me to start going through all these frames, putting the setting manually. Also, another thing worthy of note is that you can't start for the fun of it changing your transition in the middle. Maybe from your onboarding, you use different transition. You come to authentication, you use different one. Go down to your home, use a different one. That is not a good rule. That's not a good rule of thumb. in setting transitions. You have to make sure everything looks uniform. It's not the one that I will reach this screen, then I'll now put a different animation. It should look like I'm in a different app when you try to do that kind of thing. So it's good to keep your transitions uniformed and all. So let me start this transition again. Let me see the difference. I want it to ease out. I want it to ease in. And it's just like the name is. Ease in, ease out. Go and learn about transitions, please, so that this whole thing will make sense to you. Because I promise you, if you're able to understand that, it will do wonders for you. I don't know if you're noticing any difference. That's the easing in, easing out. It just transitions. It melts into the next screen somehow. Melts into the next screen somehow. But if you want to really see very visibly how this transition is working, you can increase the time. You can slow it down. And to slow it down, you increase the time. So let me try something here. It's 300 milliseconds here. I want to take it up a notch. I'll put 900. 900. And I'm not feeling this smart animation. So I'm going to put something more dramatic. I'm going to use dissolve. Yeah, that works too. It's a nice, and I'll still leave it as ease out because it's going to dissolve out of the scene. So let me see, let me confirm that the transition I've set here is here. That hasn't happened here yet. So I've changed it for this particular connection and this particular connection. And here, I'm noticing it hasn't really picked up on it yet. Maybe I need to connect up to 3, I don't know. Let's see. Dissolve, ease out. All right, great. Oh, okay. I'm noticing it didn't really pick it out yet because this is still 300. Let me bump it up. Let me just manually do it. 900, sorry. It's computer. It's taking its time. I just want to see what it looks like. Let me put 900. Dissolve. 900. Let's see what we can see. 900. I really want to see some serious delay. Okay. I want to play our prototype now. As we go on, because while we're trying to do our project, I'm going to take you through these elements one by one. All right, so let's tap and see. Are you noticing the dissolving? It's not as drastic as I thought it would be. But if you notice, as one page is dissolving, the other one is coming up right under it. I was expecting a more dramatic effect, but Figma knows what it's doing. It makes sure that all the transitions are realistic transitions, not. All right, so pretty much we've learned how we can we can create connections through our frames using nodes. These are called nodes. I just remembered I didn't mention it. These are called nodes. These things we use to do the connection, they are called nodes, and it's the nodes that we use to connect one frame to the other, to create a user flow, and to also create a transition and a connection on our project. Okay, we're drawing very close to the end of our class. I want to ask questions because I don't want to jam pack so many things into this. I need it to be, I really want you to be clear on this before I pick up on the next subject. So we're going to touch a bit on this again. I'll stretch it a bit further next time. I want to come up with a fresh project. The only reason I use this project is because I wanted to emphasize my point about how many screens. There are 60 screens here. So it depends on the app you're creating. Some apps, you just need 15, 16 to 18 screens, depending on the project. This was a very huge project because this was a ride sharing app. So that's why it has this many screens. Well, there are apps that don't require this much screens. It don't require this much screens. So, but you're going to create screens depending on the project that you're handling. And in a project like this, if you're working for a company, there's hardly one designer doing everything. Most times it's impossible. So you have a couple of designers, you have your UX writers on it, you have your interaction designers on it, you have your UI designer on it, and so on. So that each of these people are designing different parts of this particular project. I worked on this project with 4 other designers, and each of us handling a separate role. The person doing the main design, the person working on the interaction is different, and that is the power of the collaboration that goes on in Figma. So a whole project could be going on at the same time with one person working on different aspects of the project, and that leads to efficiency, leads to finishing the project at the same time, since everybody is just working on their own parts. Okay, but usually the UI designer is a person that starts working on the project first, because that's the person that is responsible for laying out the structure of the design itself. The person has to be able to design. Let me zoom in. Okay, the person has to be able to come and design these parts and put this button where it is, put this image where it is. As for the write-up, the UI designer does not have to write the actual write-up that is meant to be there. As a UI designer, the person can use what is called a dummy text. A dummy text. He just has to know that, okay, I need to indicate that there's a heading here and then there's a paragraph here. And a dummy text comes in form of like a lorem ipsum text, where you can just put in a dummy text and do your thing. Okay, so as there was someone who asked a question about icons. I don't know if you're able to figure that, but I decided, okay, let me show you. Okay, so if you come to this part on your Figma, you click here, you will see plugins. You will see where your plugins are, and you will come to your manage plugins and search for the kind of plugins that you want and include it in your Figma. If you look down, you'll see there are so many plugins already. All you have to do is run it in your project. So, but the person was asking how to bring in icons. So you could search for your icons in your plugins icons, okay? And it's going to bring up all the icons you require. But the most familiar icons that I know about is icons 8. So now I'd already installed icons 8 in this particular Figma that I'm working with currently. So when you have installed it and you click on run, I think the person was trying to look for that password icon, which was that little I. So I just want to quickly answer that now. When you run it, it's just going to show you your different icons. So to find that I icon now, all I have to do is come to my search button and click I. Search. Have you seen the icons we are looking for? So to get that exact I icon, you know there are two types of icon now. When you are going to create a next frame, if you want to hide the password, you use a closed I. If you want to display the password, you use the open I. So in this case, all you just have to do is, or you could even use this invisible I to display or hide to display your icon. So I think that one was using an icon like this. So all you have to do is just to click on it. Click on it and drop it in your and drop it in your projects. Oh, sorry, it didn't even welcome. Let me do that again. Let me do that again. Let me do that. Okay, icons 8 is here because I just used it. Okay, and I want to just carry my icon. Let me use let me just focus on that one. Let me use my icon. I search. I'm going to drag and hold. It's showing, I'm just going to drag and hold it and drop it on my project. And it's there. So I can just, using my shift key, because I don't want to destabilize the shape. Imagine just reducing the size. You can alter the shape. So now, I told you when you press shift, it gives it its original shape. So while holding shift and you're using your cursor, from the side, you resize it. And the reason you're using shift is because you don't want to disfigure your icon. Don't want to disfigure it. Now our icon is here, okay? Because I'm still in prototype. I'm still in prototype mode. I'm supposed to go out of prototype mode to go back to design mode since I'm trying to design. So I'm just going to undo that. Ctrl Z. So I was supposed to just come back here on my right pane, click back on design to put me in design mode. So when you drop your icon, it's showing you all the features, and I want to give it a color. I can just come. If I use this eyedropper tool here, let's say the color I want to use is in my design. Oh, sorry, something has happened to something has happened. Ctrl Z. Yes, this is an interesting thing I wanted to see. This image is showing me that this is a picture. This is a picture. Ideally, I should be able to change this color. But it's showing me that I picked a picture and you cannot just change the color of a picture in Figma. It has to be an element that Figma has. It has to be an element that Figma has. So the most I can do here is to adjust the tint because it doesn't seem to be giving me the room to change the color. It's not giving me room to change the color. Let me pick another icon because I should be able to adjust my icon. Let me leave this here and grab another icon. I'm going back to my file. I'm going to plugins. Icons. I'm seeing photos here and I'm hoping I didn't click on that. Okay, no, I did not. Okay. Okay, oh my God, our time is fast spent. So let me just sorry about today. My voice has been and then there are plugins that are not necessarily. Let me run this last plugin again. There are plugins that may not be necessarily be compatible. So like this one now, what you would do instead of just picking it in the color that you did, let me show you again. I ran these icons, right? And then I picked this color because that's the default color. Now, if I'm looking to match my project with the color that I want, I have to come here and pick the color. I think the one I saw on that project was kind of bluish. So I'm going to set it to blue, or I think it was this kind of blue. Yes, I'm going to set it to blue or use my eyedropper too. Or use my custom color to pick the color I want. So make some adjustments. The blue I want, sorry, I want to put a custom color. I will decide. Oh, sorry, I keep resetting. My God, I'm starting to feel drowsy. Please forgive me. I pick that. It means then you click out of it. Now when I go and I pick my eye icon, I have it in the color that I want. So for some of these plugins, you can change the color in Figma because it comes into Figma as a picture that you cannot edit, but they give you the environment to change it to the color that you want before you bring it into your project. If you have any question, you are not clear about something, let's quickly address it so that we can close this class. Do we have any questions? Were we clear about today's class? Do we understand how to create connections? Do we understand transitions? Please, I want you to take your time to learn this further and practice it. from this project that you created, create a second screen that you can practice these transitions and connections on, so that you can familiarize yourself with it. Because I assure you, if you can understand connecting and transition for your prototyping, it's going to go a long way. We're going to still revisit some of these things we're doing when we start building a whole project together. I'm going to create a web page with you, and we are going to see how all these things we've been talking about will come into action. So please, if you have any question, this will be the time. If not, we're going to close the class. Your assessment is to create, from the screen you created, create 2 more screens and add it there on your first project. Go to Pinterest, go to Dribble, go to Behance. I'm going to drop some of these links on our Discord page immediately, so I don't forget. I'm going to add some of this link as soon as this class is over on our Discord page. I'm going to add links for YouTube videos that you could watch, short YouTube videos that won't be overwhelming, and they're going to be short, catchy, and interesting to just help bring out this point. Okay, sorry. Olua, right? Olua, please ask me your question. Olua, your hands was up. Was it a mistake? Can you hear me? Unmute your mic so that I can hear you. Are you there? Okay. I can't hear anything you're saying. You're probably okay.
That's normal.
Good afternoon.
Now, thank you for the teachings.
You're welcome.
I've done the assignment and I'm still not on Discord, so I don't know how to submit it.
Okay, you're still not on Discord.
Yes.
All right, let me forward your name right now before I forget. Let me forward your name to Lara so that she can add you.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to do that. Yes. Okay, you too.
Yes, ma. Me too.
All right, I'm going to forward your names immediately to Lara so that she can add you guys. Is there anybody else so that I can quickly just take it? Are the rest of us on Discord?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's good.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll go to your assignments, give you feedback. But meanwhile, I want you to add 2 more screens. 2 more screens to the one that you have. And then you could just make it like a. Sorry. Excuse me. Let me see. Okay. The screen we designed was for creating account, right? Now we could create a sign-in screen as the next one. Then we will connect. We'll connect our nodes from our sign-in to our sign-in page. Then it means that the button for the next screen is going to be a sign-in. And then remember, when you are trying to sign in into an app or anything, is because you already visited before. So it's not going to have as much information as this create account. If you're signing in, it means that what is required of you is to create a space for a username and a password. That's it. Also, I want you to create an option where you can sign it with Google, sign it with Facebook. Just those two. Signing with Google, signing with Facebook. Let me quickly go to Figma and show you where you can get all those icons. Your Facebook icon, your Google icon is still under our icons 8. When you go, you run your icons 8. When you type Google, just look at a previous design from anywhere. Go and find inspiration on Pinterest, find inspiration on Dribble, find inspiration on a Behance. Look at what people have done and try to recreate it. That is the fastest way to learn design. So you see, just by clicking Google, it has brought the different signs, different icons I need. When I say Facebook, icons 8 is going to bring up Facebook icon that I can use. So in your sign-in page, I want to see your username, your password, then I want to see your sign-in button. Then under it, I want to see your sign-in with Google, sign-in with Facebook. That's how I want the next page to be. Then you practice connecting your notes on it. Then you add some transitions. Pretty much just play around with it until you have figured it out. So, sorry, I'm trying to, okay. Just pretty much just figure that part out. And then I will drop a couple of links of short, interesting videos. I'm a visual person, and I don't like long videos. So I'm going to use my method for you. I'll get you interesting short videos from the Figma site. Some may not be from the Figma site. And then, so that you could just learn these concepts. They're not difficult. I believe that by the time you do that, you have a better understanding of what we did here today. So, on that note, we have come to the end of today's class.
Sorry.
Okay?
Excuse me, ma.
Oh, sorry, your hand. Keziah.
It's Ola. Yeah, I was having issues with my system.
Oh, okay.
So I had to reconnect with my phone. So,
okay.
Sorry, man. Apparently I did the assignment, but I was finding it difficult to actually save it to be able to share it.
Okay. Last week I showed you very briefly. Let's do it again. But you're able to save it as PDF.
No, it said there's a link, and then I clicked on the link. It was just showing me different.
It's because you try to share. Now look at what I'm doing. Look at my cursor. Go under file, right?
Yes,
then
ma'am.
export frames to PDF.
Oh.
We don't have that many frames. You're going to end up having only one frame. So use export frames to PDF. It's going to, my own, I have so many. Oh my God, let me cancel this. It's going to, because you have one frame on your canvas, it's just going to export that one frame as a PDF. That will make it easy for you to share. So in case someone else had that same issue, go to your file under your Figma logo at the top left corner, and then go to file. Under file, you're going to see export. You're going to see export frames to PDF. Do export frames to PDF instead. But if you have multiple, you want to be able to select the frame that you want to export, right? Click on export. Let's say we have like a couple more frames. Click on export, right? If you notice it's saying 0 of 0 selected. Now, when I select this and I select this, it means, okay, I'm not even seeing, wait. When you select this, let's say I want to export these two. Let me delete these guys here. Let me say I want to export my splash screen and my welcome screen. So I'm going to select holding shift, right? Holding shift, you want to select more than one file and frame. While holding shift, once you select the first screen, while holding shift, you'll be able to select the second screen. So now I have selected 2 screens, and these are the 2 screens that maybe I've said, okay, now that I've said design 2 screens. If you want to export those 2 screens, you select them first, then you go to your file, where am I? Then you click export. I don't know why it's showing me 0 of 0 selected. I don't know why it hasn't highlighted. You should be able to highlight. My voice is worsening. Anyway, let me do it again. Export. There's something wrong. I'm not sure what. However, just export as PDF. I'm taking too much time. I'm going to figure this out. I just have so many things in this project, so the network kinds of slows things a bit for me. So, any other question, please? Okay, yes, Keziah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the class. It's really interesting and interactive.
Thank you.
But I was following up with the class until the point where you started connecting the noise and transition. So at that point, everything became confusing to me. So I'm trying to find out if the video you're going to share with us will shed more light on that, because I would like to learn more.
It will. It definitely will. Very easy, simple video. You're probably going to get a hang of it more than I've been able to explain it to you. But at any point you still get confused, send me a direct DM on Discord. If you're struggling with anything, send me a direct DM on Discord and I'll take my time to explain further for you.
All right, thank you so much.
All right. So, people, thank you once more for attending this class. I can't wait to see you next Saturday. Don't forget to add your additional screens. If your spirit leads you to do more screens than that, wonderful. Hopefully by next week, I'll be in a better mood and in a better state of health for us to do another interesting topic. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma. Please, ma.
Thank you.
Yes? Somebody?
Please, ma.
Yes, I can.
Please, can you please help us write the assignment question on the Discord so that it will be clear? I didn't take notes very well.
Okay, fantastic. I'll do that. I'll do that. You're welcome.